Welcome back, benchwarmers. Major League Baseball is getting near the end of the regular season.
And, as much as we love the chase for October, Major League Baseball was in the headlines recently for another reason.
Our favorite commissioner, Rob Manfred, had some things to say during the Little League Classic that made some waves.
Wait, favorite commissioner? Wait, is he finally quitting? Get my hopes up, dude. I'm Brendan, ready for realignment.
I'm Corey, in the Blackouts, and this is Our View from the Bench.
Before we get started, if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss any one of the new episodes.
Also, if you could please do us the favor, if you like what you see here, please don't forget to smash that like button.
Smash it for us, come on, it's free. It's free for you, it's free for us. Helps out the channel a lot more than you probably think.
Hell yeah.
Alright, Corey, so we're here to discuss who's going to make the playoffs. No, we're not. No, we are not.
We got 30 more games for that. We got a little bit more time before we get to the October baseball.
Very true, very true. But you mentioned it a little bit that Rob Manfred went over to the Little League World Series thing, and during the Little League Little League Classic, he had some comments. What was he kind of talking about?
Well, there's just been a lot of rumors going around that the MLB is looking into maybe possibly expanding the league into adding 2 more teams in the future. So that kind of came up in conversation while he was on the broadcast. So they asked him if that's something they're talking about. And he said, it's down the line, but it's something we're looking into. There's obviously many cities that are, want a team. The 2 biggest ones that come to talk is Nashville and Portland. And then Salt Lake City's kind of a third one. And then he also mentioned, which this is the thing I think that got everybody kind of riled up, is when we do expand, we might realign to make it a little less crazy on the travel of the players. And that's when everybody, what does that mean? Does that mean Angels and Dodgers are in the same division? Do we still keep AL and NL? So all kinds of questions came up. So I figured we should kind of dive into it and see what maybe you or I think they should do. Maybe talk about some other people's ideas and see what we can come up with, what maybe MLB should be doing moving forward. Besides ending the blackouts, obviously, we know that needs to be taken care
of. Dude, it's so insane. As a Diamondbacks fan, the one game I want to watch them play is against the Dodgers, and that's the one game I really can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got to watch the Dodger feed. I don't want to watch the Dodger feed. I pay to watch the Diamondback feed.
I can't even watch the Dodger feed because I don't have Spectrum Sportsnet.
Same. So literally can't watch them. Stupid.
Jeez. You know what? Honestly, basketball needs to take note too.
Yeah,
anyways,
true.
I'm tired of need Spectrum Sportsnet for the Lakers too. Like, bro, yeah. I don't want to pay Spectrum.
Too many. All right, so we went from bundling cabling to not, and now we're kind of coming back to it. But
that's all I want, bro. I don't understand why it ever left. It's so annoying. So annoying. Everybody wants their own freaking feed. Blah. All right. So honestly, you kind of mentioned at the beginning. Let's start with like some of the possible expansion teams. I know, or places. I'm sorry, not teams. Yeah. Well, I guess both, but places is kind of where we're talking about, new cities. I know you mentioned obviously Tennessee or Nashville and Portland. You also threw in Salt Lake City. I wonder what's the weather like in freaking Salt Lake City. I feel like it's like a dry area. It's kind of hot during the summertime.
Yeah,
it's hot in LA, but.
It would probably have to be a retractable roof, kind of like Arizona has, just because of the weather. And there's also talk of, depending on where it is, it might have not quite a mile high effect, but it could be similar to that because they are a little bit higher elevation, maybe not that high like Colorado, but something that could be playing into effect as well. So, but you mentioned Nashville for sure. That's like the big hot one. I've been hearing about Nashville for like, God, at least 6 or 7 years. Dave Stewart, former GM of the D-backs and former pitcher for the A's back in the 80s. He is part of a group in Nashville, and they want to name the team, I think, the Nashville Sounds, which was a team back in the Negro Leagues back in the day. So they're bringing that back. There's also been talk of Nashville Stars. So there's a couple different names going on, but Nashville right now is kind of the big city as far as the eastern side of the United States. It's growing. Everyone on the East Coast calls Nashville Nash Vegas. So that's kind of tells you how big it's up and coming. The Titans are building a new stadium there as well. So there's just a lot going on in Nashville. It's growing. So I think that's why it's one of the bigger cities. Charlotte, North Carolina is also another one. I don't really see quite Charlotte. I feel like Charlotte close to the water might be a little bit of an issue, but then again, Atlanta and Miami and Tampa are teams. So I don't know. What do I know at that point when it comes to this?
I mean, they do have the Panthers, but nobody really pays attention to them. So
yeah, maybe they need more. Charlotte Hornets, which again, nobody really pays attention to that either. So it's
let's not go Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a good sports market, but I just don't think it's big enough. And then
I think one of the ones that you had, go ahead.
Yep, no, go ahead. I know you're going to say it.
I was going to say one of the ones that actually I think is actually the most interesting, which actually to me makes a ton of sense, is let's get a team back over in Montreal.
Yeah, let's do like NBA is talking and go back to Seattle, bring the name back. You don't even have to create a name or logo. It's already done. Montreal Expos, throw the same stuff out there. It's a classic logo. People still talk about it now, and they haven't been that team. They haven't been that name in 15 years, I think, since they left Montreal.
I'm sure New Era still sells the hats. right?
Hell
With
yeah,
that look,
they
because the
do.
logo's sick. The logo's sick. I agree with you. So I think that one would be pretty sweet too, because you'd be able to get a second Canadian team, obviously Toronto, but Toronto's like barely in Canada. It's like you
Yeah.
could throw a rock at New York from Toronto. It's so dang close, I think. So so I think that'd be pretty cool. I like that one. So those are some of the places. I think my vote would be for Montreal and Nashville. I think that would probably be the cool. I guess Portland would be a good second because that's kind of close. It gives Seattle another, but if,
Yeah.
Montreal gives Seattle another team just on the other side of the border. That's kind of close to them too. Maybe that could be a little rival. But Portland and or Oregon and Washington have that like weird little rivalry,
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
that
You
kind of
already
makes
kind of
sense.
have it built in. So if you get them within the city or the baseball market, it's already there. I mean, they have the soccer
The
rivalry.
Sound and the
Yeah, the Sounders and the Timbers. That's a huge
yeah,
rivalry up there. So I think it would just carry over into the sport. So we'll see. Again, there's multiple options and
our
things.
trees are better. No, our trees are better.
Hey, at least they have trees. We don't even have any down here. It's all dirt.
Yeah, true. No, they're all on fire. Anyways, okay. So the second thing that you mentioned was what's really got kind of everybody. Expansion is always kind of a thing. Even the NBA is thinking about it. That's what I think the NFL has perfectly is the perfect amount of teams. So let's get to that realignment thing. The real headline catcher, I guess you would say. Um, you'll see on the screen here. We're gonna kind of show it. We're gonna use Portland and Nashville as the kind of examples of what the expansion teams would be. So you'll see those on the screen. But basically, I think the best thing to do would be keep it traditional. It's something that baseball is already. They are very into the we've been here for like 100 plus years. Let's do the thing. We play 162 games, right? I mean, obviously they haven't played 162 games their entire history, but you get what I mean. It's very
154
traditional.
wasn't much of a difference, let's be honest.
Very true. Very true. So it's it's something that I think would align with their realignment because it kind of follows their, I guess, values of sticking to the traditional thing. And really all you could do is kind of break it up into, I think the NFL has kind of set it up perfectly. Keep they have the AFC and the NFC. You can keep the National League and the American League, and then just do the North, South, East, and West, just each of the 4 points of the compass. And you can kind of see that realignment here. But what that would mostly do is, I think it's basically you can almost call it. I think you did when we were kind of talking about it. The NL West is what
Yeah,
I would think is just California. Basically,
yeah.
it's just
It's
if you live in California, this is the division you play in. So
yeah, once
it
the
would
A's
basically.
officially leave Oakland, Sacramento, and get into Vegas, there will only be
Mhm.
4 teams left, and then the way you have it lined up, you have them all in the NL West.
Yeah, it kind of makes the most sense to me. And then we kind of go the regional from there, keeping it as close to National League as possible. I think that's when you kind of if you go to the north, I think the White Sox are the only
American.
AL
Yeah.
team, so so them coming over here. If you go to the East, the Blue Jays and the Orioles are moving out, but it kind of keeps the two birds fighting from when they were in the AL East, and yeah, and it kind of does like a nice little regional realignment. You're able to kind of travel to the places that um, are closer for a
Yeah.
majority of your games. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. No,
so.
I'm not against this alignment that you have or that people mostly have come up with. I like, you're going to have to mix a couple teams up and switch leagues or divisions, but it's not like baseball hasn't done that before. The Astros used to be in the NL, the Brewers used to be in the AL. Like teams move leagues all the time and divisions. Like it's
Mhm.
part of the growth of the sport. We got to realign, we got to change. So, and again, you mentioned nothing crazy like the AL and NL West are pretty much the same thing now, except the Diamondbacks went to the AL. Excuse me, and you add Portland in there. So okay, that's not
Mhm.
bad. And then like you said, the North in the NL is the Cubs and White Sox. Not a lot of travel. That's nice. St. Louis and Cincinnati, all very close to each other in the middle part of the country. The East is kind of the East and the NL is the only one that's really like kind of all over the place. You got Baltimore, Washington, Pittsburgh, Toronto, kind of
But
all
they're
over the
kind
place.
of up there,
No,
but
but I mean, as
yeah.
far as like the mixture of those four, you're like, wow, that's
Oh,
like
correct.
that 2 of them were in the East. One was in the East in the NL, and the other one was in the Central in the NL. So it's just kind of weird to see it. But again, it's not going to be a traditional lineup compared to what people are used to, regardless of how we do it. Because again, we're realigning and changing things out of the norm.
Yeah. The one thing that it does keep though is some of the old rivalries, or at least it keeps like a regional rivalry, right? So you're still
Yeah.
having the Dodgers play the Padres and the Giants. You
Mm-hmm.
still have the Red Sox and the Yankees. It also now creates a New York I mean, there's already a New York rivalry, but now you're in the same division with the Mets and the Yankees. You get an Illinois or a Chicago one still with the White Sox and the Cubs. You get a
Mhm.
little Texas one with the Astros and the Rangers. So it kind of keeps, it kind of moves it into maybe creating new regional rivalries that were only there because they're in the same now. Now they're in the same division as well. So this is one I kind of like a lot. And again, it's very more traditional. It's not too crazy, but it is
Yeah.
still something that that kind of switches it up a little bit.
Yeah, and like your AL North that you have too, it's like the Twins, the Tigers, and Guardians. They're already all in the same division. You're only adding Milwaukee as a different team. So 3 of those teams are going to be very comfortable with each other. Milwaukee's
Hmm.
the only oddball in there. But again, that's part of it. We're going from 5-team divisions to 4-team divisions. So somebody's got to move and go somewhere. And if we're realigning
Hmm.
again, you got to be open to the possibilities and different options. And this is just one of the options we have found or came up with.
Yeah, and honestly, what we would do is in keeping with the way that I guess the format you would call it now for the playoffs, you would still have 6 teams make it, but
Mhm.
this one would be you just win your division. There's 4, and then the 2 top teams after that, right, would be the wild cards. And then what you could do is keep it similar, and the top 2 records get a bye. So that
Yep.
way, the bottom 4 teams would play. So pretty much the playoff format stays the same. This would be, I guess, the not only the easiest, but the most common sense, I guess you can say. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best. I mean, there's
No,
a
of course not.
plethora of ideas that anybody can kind of throw out there. And I think you have a fun one that you found.
I got a little bit of a different one. Now, I will give credit to where credit's due. I didn't come up with this completely on my own. Now, I was watching all these videos about this topic and different people giving different ideas, and I thought John Smoltz, the former Hall of Fame pitcher, had a really good idea where he said, if you're going to realign and add 2 more teams, let's try everything you want to try now. This is the time. Do it all in one shot. And then if a year
True.
or 2 goes by and you notice some things don't maybe work the way you thought they were, you can change them back or and manipulate them a different way. So his
Hmm.
concept is instead of 4 divisions of 4 teams in each American League and National League like you have it, he's doing more of a 4 divisions just across baseball. So 4 divisions, 8 teams apiece. And then he has it as AL and NL. I was thinking more like West Coast and East Coast. Let's split it up and make the travel even more, centralized as far as the teams are concerned. So
So that's kind of taking from basketball a little bit. The first one kind of took from football a little bit. This one's kind of
exactly.
taking from basketball a little bit. Okay.
Absolutely. And, because it's a 3-game series thing, you get to stay in town longer. It's not like basketball where it's one night and you got to move on. So
True.
the
Yeah. True.
travel is not as bad when it comes to that. But again, if you can keep everything centralized as far as travel being a little less crazy on the players, it's always a win-win. So if you look on the screen now, you'll see it. I have it as 4 divisions. Now, I didn't even go with East, West, South. I decided, back in the day, hockey had this thing where they named the divisions after former Hall of Fame players. So I went a little different. So I went the Ricky Henderson division, and then I
Okay.
went to Ernie Banks division, Hank Aaron, and Babe Ruth. Now, again,
People are going to have some problems.
yeah,
Dodger
well,
fans are going to be mad.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
sorry, but the Dodgers weren't originally from Los Angeles, so a lot of their history is in Brooklyn, and now they're in LA. So I don't think it makes sense to have a division named Jackie Robinson when most of his career was played in a different part of the country. So
True. True.
Ricky Henderson, not born, but raised in Oakland, played for Oakland, played for played for everybody, but played in
Set like
California.
every
A lot of
record
his
you could
career.
think of when it comes to stealing bases and stuff. So
Oh yeah, he did. So I went with Ricky Henderson. So
not
I
bad.
kind of comboed a little bit of what you did and took the 2 divisions kind of on one side and comboed them together a little bit. So you'll see I have like the Mariners, the A's, they're still together in the Ricky Henderson division, but then I've got AL and NL all mixed up. In my league, there's no American League, there's no National League because at the end of the day, we all play baseball the same way. There's a DH in both
Hmm.
leagues. We all play on the same rules. There's nothing different. So interleague is really just a term that we like to say when it comes to National
True.
League and American
True.
League playing. It's just baseball at this point. So that's why
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
I'm throwing that out the book. So I'm mixing up teams. So in the Ricky Henderson, I got Seattle, Oakland, San Diego, San Francisco, Arizona, Angels, Dodgers, and then this is where I added Portland. So those 8
Makes
teams
sense.
all on the West Coast. Very easy
Very,
travel.
very West Coast. Yes.
Exactly. So then you look at the Hank Aaron one, and this is in the American or the Eastern Conference, whatever you want to call it. I've got Atlanta, Baltimore, Washington, Texas, Houston, Nashville, the other new team,
Hmm.
Tampa, and Miami. So again, all kind of that
Okay.
southern corner and Texas, and Baltimore kind of got screwed a little bit, but that's just the way it kind of
Sort of
lands
the
on.
Nationals a little bit. They're up
But at
there
least they
more.
have
But
them
that.
near each other, and then they can
Hmm.
kind of do road trips where you play maybe both these teams that are near each other at the same time back to back, so the travel's not as bad as it could be as well. So,
And I've never lived on the East Coast myself, but I hear that the travel there is super easy. Like getting from state to state is not like from California to
dude,
Oregon or you know what I mean?
I have learned that so much by my sister moving to the East Coast and living in Ohio. It is so crazy how they can go from Columbus, Ohio to Nashville in 6 hours to Pittsburgh in 6 hours. It's just like all these different directions. They can get into like 7 different states.
If
Us,
I were to
it takes,
drive north for 6 hours, I'm still in California.
dude, it takes like 10 to get out of California to go north from where we are. It's crazy.
I'm just saying, yeah.
So, but again, you look at the different divisions and how I have them all split up. The other thing that I think is different too is Schmaltz mentioned this also means you can kind of change the way you do the schedule. So and since you have 8 teams in each division and we're splitting them in half, the way I kind of looked at it is you play the 7 teams in your division 9 times at home, 9 times on the road. So 3 series each. So that puts you at, I think it was like 120 games.
126.
126. Perfect. Then you do the 8 teams in the other division in your conference, and you play
East
them
or West.
Yeah, you play them 1 time, 1 series, 3 games, just like you do now. You alternate home and road. So we'll play the Yankees at home this year. We'll play the Yankees on the road next year. Alternate back and forth.
24.
So that leaves you 12 games, which is 4 series of 3 games. And you can either, the way I would do it, just to make it easy on the scheduling people, is you pick 4 teams from a division in the opposite conference, play them 1 year. The next year, you play the other 4. The next year, you play the next 4. The next year, you play the final 4. And then you just kind of rotate from there.
Which is kind of a take from football.
Exactly.
A little bit.
Yeah, or what you can do is you can pick 4 teams that team is, maybe it's a rival from another conference, or they played each other in the World Series the year before. So you're like, let's get a World Series rematch, kind of like the NFL does with opening night. The Super Bowl champ plays somebody, or they play a rematch against that team later in the season. So kind of playing with that concept. So again, it gives you 12 games to kind of manipulate the schedule as much as you want and make it different. But I think, again, it makes it symmetrical and easy, and the travel would be so much less on these players, which at the end of the day, I know we never talk about what's the words I'm thinking of basketball. Man, I cannot think of when they rest them all the time. What am I thinking of? Why can I?
Rest is basically what it is.
Management. I don't know why I can't think of the term that I'm thinking of.
Workload management. No,
load
management.
Thank you.
There you go.
So baseball doesn't get talked as a load management sport, but I think in the long run, if you can make the travel less, then it becomes an even less of a topic. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy, but again, I always come up with these weird ideas. But I want to try something new. If baseball is old and tradition, like this one. I want to try something different. Okay, well, see, I got one person on my side.
Hey, it's kind of different. I think the traditional one would be the easiest one, but it doesn't necessarily mean to be the best one. If like what you're saying and what Smoltz is saying, if you want to switch it up, make it crazy, because you can always go backwards. I mean, that's the fun. And how much more eyes are going to be on it when you make it this crazy, right? Instead of just kind of realigning it a little bit. People would be interested, obviously, in the first year or two, to be like, oh wow, we play the Angels a bunch of times now as the Dodgers, as opposed to just like one series each place.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the Angels swept this year. That was pretty crazy. But
might not matter.
Can't win anything else, but but good for them. That's their World Series. 6-0, perfect. All right. But yeah, so I think that's kind of interesting. But you kind of went on. This is the kind of cool part where I was thinking that this alignment makes the playoffs be a way that you can kind of really switch things up as well, as opposed to making it the easy win your division, next 2 teams, win your division, next 2 teams, blah blah blah. And you had this super different idea. Was it where did you hear this one?
So I've heard it a few places, but I think the minor leagues, I want to say maybe at the
that's right,
lower level, maybe level A level, they do a thing where they do division winner for each half of the season. So they'll play the first half. Whoever has the best record at that half wins that division. They clinch a playoff spot at the end of the year, but you still got to play the other half. Now, if you don't do good in the second half, it doesn't matter. You're still in the playoffs. But if you can win that second half as well, maybe you get some extra incentive of winning it both halves. You get the bye. You're the only team that gets a bye in the first round of the playoffs instead of 2 teams. Again, the manipulation that you can kind of play with and do. But I think I think part of it is if you have 2 half division races, if you're Colorado, you can suck in the first 81 games, but when we start that second half, you're alive. You're right back in.
Chance to
you don't have
literally
to
win
play 80 games and waste 80 games like you're doing this year and trying to lose 150 games total. Like, you don't have to waste that second half of the year and just make these guys go through the motions because they have to play the games. It kind of creates 2 playoff races in a sense throughout the year. So I think it's a bonus. And it gives you teams that don't play for anything in the second half because, we're too far back. No, you start over from the scratch at the beginning of the second half of the season. So again, just something else to think about. Could also use it to manipulate the All-Star break. Maybe, again, this is something I just came up with today thinking about this. If you play 81 games, boom, we take the 81st games on a Sunday. That Monday, you have the Futures game at the All-Star, wherever the All-Star game is taking place, you have the Futures game. So that way all the players can fly in Monday, so they don't have to do it Sunday night after their games.
Mhm.
Tuesday night, you have the Home Run Derby. Wednesday night, you have the All-Star game. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, nobody plays any baseball. So even
That's a
if you're
nice
in the
break.
All-Star game, you still get 3 or 4 days off before you start the second half. That
That's kind of
following
funny that baseball does that. I'm sorry to interrupt
No,
you,
go
but
ahead.
oh, you're the best player. Yeah, you're gonna keep playing. Actually, it's only the scrubs that get a bunch of time off. They need to
Yeah.
rest. It's like, wait, I'm the best player. Why do I get no time off? That's a
Exactly.
good point.
So if
I
you
like
give
that.
everybody at least a good solid 3 days. Now, if you're in the All-Star game, you get a couple less days. If you're not, you get a whole solid week off. Gives you time to get ready for that second half push. And then again, it creates a whole new season essentially. You're starting from scratch that following Monday. Okay, we're 0-0 for the second half. We sucked in that first half. Let's throw that out the garbage and let's just play the second half like we don't even know that half existed. You could turn around your season and make the playoffs. Smoltz brought up the Braves this year as an example. The first half, Acuna wasn't back yet from the injury. Chris Sale was kind of in and out of the lineup as far as starting in the rotation. So they sucked. Second half, Sale's healthy. Acuna's back and playing well. So all of a sudden you're like, hey, you know what? We sucked that first half. We can do something in the second half, make the playoffs, and then we can make a run from there. So it gives more teams more options to play. And again, we all want to chase in a race at the end. That's why we added multiple wildcard teams in the first place.
Sure.
We wanted more teams to get in and be buying at the deadline instead of selling. This kind of creates, I guess you'd have to have 2 trade deadlines almost too, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's a whole nother subject that has to get brought up.
Well, let's not. Yeah, we haven't thought about that part yet, but that's a good point. That's a good point. And honestly, 162 games, I wouldn't necessarily call it a drag, but it's a drag. You know what I mean? Like
It is, it's a
it's a
lot.
long thing. And to your point, like the Rockies, they started with like 7-80 or something like. I mean, not 80,
Might
but
as
yeah.
well.
But they're like basically just out of it right away. Well, they've been doing a tad better, not better at all, but it's also that they're not incentivized to win much more because there's nothing to really play for when you're that far back. However, with your new format, that kind of changes.
Mhm.
Now, we were going over some of the way that the playoffs would work, and I've got a couple graphics that'll kind of pop up here with some examples. This one it's getting a little tricky, so that's why we got the visuals up
Mhm.
here for you. But let's just say it's a clean sweep, like what we've talked about. The team who wins the first half doesn't win the second. Another person in the Ricky Henderson division or the Ernie Banks division wins the second as well. It would set up nice and clean. It's the next 2 teams then that are the next 2 best teams by record that
Mhm.
are the wild card spots. So the top division winner, I'm assuming it would basically be by like record, right? If they go
Correct.
50-31 and the next one goes 49, that would be the second
Yeah,
place, right? So the first
whatever half of the season you won the division, whatever your record is, that's the best record of those people will get the number 1 seed and 2 and down. Correct.
Okay, so that person would play the wild card, the second wild card. The second place would play the first wild card team. Obviously, kind of doing 1 through 6, right? One
Right.
plays 6, two plays 5, etc. And then obviously the 2 in the middle are both division winners. But whoever has the best record gets home field advantage.
Correct.
Now, what happens if, let's say, one team? I'm just going to throw out the Dodgers or the Yankees, or shoot, honestly, let's not even use that. The Brewers, because they're on a freaking roll this year. Let's say they actually win both halves in this Ernie Banks division that you've got, but the Ricky Henderson one gets split. I'm talking about the National League. Well, then that would be that D1. We get an extra wild card team because they basically took up 2 spots in
Exactly.
theory, right? So that gives way to another wild card team, which pushes to your point that chase a little bit
Mhm.
more. We wanted the play. Okay, if you're tied, there's a play-in game. We wanted all these extra
Yep.
games on television. Well, let's get another team that actually cares about making this push. If they see that, oh my gosh, wait, the Brewers are going to win both halves. We actually have a chance they're opening up another wild card spot for us.
Exactly. So think
Let's
about
push for
that
that.
last week or 10 days, how crazy that could be. You're like, okay, if that team wins the division again, then we get a wild card. But if they don't win the division again, we have no fucking chance at a wild card. So you're
And we
watching
play
all,
them.
yeah, see, so then all these different things come into play, and I think it just makes it that much more exciting, especially that last month of the second half of the season. It just completely throws it out of whack and can, just, like you said, open up all these different possibilities. Because if it happens on both conferences, then we're playing that game on both sides. We could have 4
True.
wild cards instead of 3 wild cards because the same team is winning the division both halves. It just completely throws everything out of whack and makes it more fun and interesting, I think.
I agree. I agree. Well, you jumped ahead of me because on the screen here you'll see basically D1 plays the new wild card, the wild card 3. 2 would play the middle wild card, and the third division winner would play the wild card 1. But let's say two teams. Let's say both the Dodgers win both of the Ricky Henderson divisions of each half, and those Brewers win one. Well, now we've got a fourth wild card team. You'll see that example on the screen here. So the Division 1 winner, if they've won both, whichever. Oh, that one would be kind of tricky. Is it a combination? Then it's just record. If both teams won both, then it's just record.
Whoever has the best record gets the number 1, and
would
then
take D1.
Correct.
Yeah, so they're playing this new fourth wild card team. So we're still getting 6 in. We're still making sure that it's a level playing field, but it gives that split. I actually kind of like this. I like the setup of the other one more, but I like the playoffs of this other one. This new Smoltz/Corey version
creates more opportunity for teams to get in, and once you're in, especially in baseball, I mean, Diamondbacks, we were the 21st overall salary, I think, the year we went to the World Series 2 years ago, and Texas was 4th, and we were a wild card team. We won on the road in Milwaukee, we won on the road in the second round, in the third round. Like we had to
LA,
battle to get
on
there.
The road in Philly. Yep,
exactly. So I think again, it just makes it more fun, more entertaining, more possibilities, and more stuff to talk about here on the podcast.
And then also, maybe we bring back in that All-Star game, that will be the decider of home field advantage again. You know what I mean?
Ooh, okay. All right. See, now you're thinking. Now we're really throwing it all out there.
I'm just saying. I actually really liked that. It gives an incentive now because it is the one sport where people will get less hurt. I feel like I'm not saying you can't get hurt playing baseball, but the contact obviously that is football. That's why the Pro Bowl is boring because you can end a career if you get the wrong hit. And then basketball is such a fatigue game, and you could get hurt playing that too. Paul George broke his leg just by doing a layup and landing wrong. You know what I mean? So anything could go wrong there. So I get that. But in baseball, you can add some incentive back into it, even having this home run hit off like they did this past year. That was super exciting. But can you imagine Kyle Schwarber actually gets home field advantage for the National League because of that?
Dang, you know what I'm saying? Crazy.
I'm just saying it's more than just, we win the All-Star game. It's, okay, Kyle Schwarber's home runs is what gives the National League or the West or the East,
whatever,
however you would say it, the home field advantage throughout the World Series. So I don't know.
I like your thinking. Again, let's try anything. Throw it at the wall and let's see if it sticks. And if it doesn't, we can always change it back. And, the All-Star, before the All-Star game made the decision of who had home field, at one point in time, it literally just alternated American League, National League, American League, National League. So at least there's some play in the All-Star game that has an effect to it. It's not just given to you because it's your year in the rotation. Now, I'm not going to lie, in 2001, it helped.
I was going to say, that kind of helped the Diamondbacks a little bit.
But that was the rules back then. I'm talking about now. So
yeah. We're switching it up.
But yeah, it completely changes everything and gives, again, more opportunity, more craziness, more things to talk about. And if you're baseball, even though there's a possible lockout in a year, the more we can talk about baseball and get them out there on anything, because they're going to lose their ESPN deal possibly. There's talk of them maybe getting back into it, and then NBC.
For those teams that don't even have broadcasting right now, basically.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
There's a lot of issues that need to be cleaned up in order we can get down the line to this, but I think the MLB thinking big is a good sign, and maybe Manfred, if he can get all this kind of taken care of or figured out before he ultimately leaves, maybe he doesn't leave as the worst commissioner of all time, because right now he does.
It's been pretty bad. I mean, I know we boo Roger Goodell every time he goes up to have a draft pick announced, but at least the league is one of the best leagues to watch. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And we can watch every game. It's all available for us. So.
Pretty much. I mean, it's getting a little bit crazy the way they're selling rights to Netflix and Amazon and Peacock.
But at least they don't black you out if you pay for it. You know what I'm saying?
True. Very true. Yeah. Yeah, at least, true. Because baseball's like, you give us all your money to watch it? Yeah, well, guess what? You live where you shouldn't live. So
so no.
You can't
or
watch
you're in town visiting somebody and that team's there, so no, you can't watch them now.
Like my parents, they live in Arizona, and my mom's kind of always been a Dodger fan, but now they have to be Dodger fans because they can't watch the Diamondbacks. And when the Dodgers play the Diamondbacks, now they can't watch the Dodgers.
It's a nightmare. They really need to get that shit figured out. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. So, but I don't know. I'm pretty excited for it. I think as much as I thought your idea was crazy at the beginning, the more and more we talk about it, it seems more fun at least, and it'll get eyes on the sport, which is what they were looking for. And honestly, even the little things that Manfred's done have helped. The pitch clock and the no changing pitchers and the only throwing over a certain amount of times, like all those little things. And even ABS eventually.
We got to give a little bit of credit to Theo Epstein too. He was involved in stuff. So, and he is now involved.
But he let him, at least, he
let him. And now he's involved. Theo's involved with another league with something else. and trying to create different rules and things too. So Theo is going to go down as one of the best executives in all of sports history, just by the effects he's had on the game, not necessarily
Cubs,
Cubs,
Red
Red
Sox.
Sox, and all the rules. I mean, he's done everything correct and he's only going to continue to grow the sport and make it better. So I think in the long run, Theo Epstein is great for baseball. He should be recognized at some point and be put in the Hall of Fame as a contributor.
Agreed.
I'm sure it will happen, but yeah, I'm excited about MLB being open to the possibility of all these changes now that they've seen a few of them go into effect and people like them, like you mentioned, bigger bases so they can steal more and all these things. It's helping the game. It's making it more exciting. And we're also not being a-holes and being mad about people celebrating home runs. Just as we like to say, or the MLB put an ad out a couple years, let the kids play, man. Let them have fun. Let's see their energy and their excitement and build.
That's what people love about football. I mean, they limit it a little bit, but having the celebration not be too crazy.
No,
but it's fun to watch those.
They have team-oriented ones in football. They obviously, practice.
They go bowling and they knock them down. And
exactly. So I'd love to see baseball get more. Now, I don't need everybody at home plate for every home run, just for the game winners. No. But I do like
game winner.
The whole, like, the Mariners have the trident when you hit a home run, or the Blue Jays have the jacket that they put, like all that little stuff. It's fun. It makes it more entertaining for the crowd and the home fans. Even the road fans, they take all that shit with them on the road and do it in the dugout regardless. So again, just grow the sport and don't hold it back, Rob Manfred. Stop holding baseball back.
Yeah, as much as they want to stick to tradition, and I get that in some fashion, it's good to kind of switch it up, man. That's what every other league is doing in some way, shape, or form, and they're growing exponentially, not only here but worldwide. And I know that baseball is pretty big. It's huge in Latin America. It's obviously huge in Japan,
Korea.
Korea. But let's expand it even more. Let's get it. Let's get it everywhere. Let's make it interesting to where a bunch of people want to watch. So absolutely. I like it. So anyways, that wraps this up. Let us know in the comments what you think of possible MLB expansion.
And hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok at RVUFTB and tell us which city you think they should expand to. Or if you're like Brendan, should they just bring back the Montreal Expos and add one new team?
That's what I'm thinking. But anyways, appreciate everybody stopping by. Thank you as always for seeing things from RV from the bench. I'm Brendan.
I'm Corey. Like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.
This was a Sycamore Fourth Studios production.